in the season. What's the point of anyone being in the academy if there's no pathway into the first team for them?
Mm-hmm.
Even when they carry injuries, suspensions, they're not putting any of the youngsters on the bench whatsoever, and it's kind of like, I agree with that, and it's been a huge problem, and I'm surprised it took so long for anyone, whether it be a parent, whether it be a player, or even a coach, to speak out on the situation, because, Dennis Sirkin so famously left
Yeah,
Tottenham.
that took it right out of my mouth.
Ben Davies, I think, I'm not sure. I think Session was out, or Reguilon was out injured at the time. And myself and Marcelo used to sit there screaming, just give Sirkin a chance. Even in Europe, in the early rounds of Europa League, give the guys a chance. I'm sick of persisting with the same things and getting the same results. We see it with the cup competitions, Jack, especially away from home. Davies has been one that's played a lot of them. And you get the same sort of results. You get the same things thrown back in your face, where it's either you struggle to beat them or you end up coming away, which mostly is the case, coming away with an embarrassing defeat. So if they don't want to be there, don't persist with them. Get a young guy in and give him a chance, and let's see what he can do. Start showing that there is a pathway into the first team for some of these young guys. For all you know, he might end up taking the opportunity. I mean, Ollie Skip has grasped the opportunity of Bentancur being out, and look what way he's kicked on. Now, I know people are going to say, Dave, Ollie Skip had a loan out, this, that, and the other, and I get it. But my point is what's the point of persisting with Session, being frustrated, talking about the same things we always talk about with the guy? Just put something fresh in there. If you're going to sack a manager and go with something, well, I wouldn't say fresh because it's not fresh, let's be honest, but you've sacked the manager. But I'm at the point now, we need to start freshening things up at Tottenham. So don't persist with someone we already know what the problems are. Bringing in a youngster, at least if that youngster's making that mistakes, you can handle it. Unlike someone like Session, who's been around, he's had loans in Germany, he's played in the Premier League now, and when he was younger, he's played the Champions, he's got a lot of experience under his belt, and he's just not good enough.
You could see where, I'm with you. I'm surprised that it's taken so long for one of the family members, one of the parents, to sort of come out on this sort of issue at Spurs, Dave. Because I'm with you, where you're watching the likes of Sessegnon struggle against League One, League Two defenders, and just being able to do the basics, being able to just take on his man, being able to put in a cross. How many times have we watched Sessegnon just repeatedly just pound a ball into the opposition player's face, Dave? I'm starting to actually feel bad for the opposition, with how bruised probably the opposition fullback gets after every single game. I mean, even the opposition fullback at certain stages is just like, geez, I didn't even try that hard on that one, and the guy's still pelting me with these balls. It just felt like he was becoming hopeless. And I know confidence is a huge thing, right, with players, but it's also, you have to see some semblance of ability. And with Sessegnon, he was really starting to lose it. And I think a lot of it has to do with injury. It's just a sad case. It happens to players where they lose sort of that edge, either athletically, or they lose that edge just with certain kind of movement, certain kind of agility, certain kind of balance, even whatever it may be. And then a bit of confidence goes with that when they lose that sort of athletic edge. And I think when it started to look like Emerson was showing more improvement going forward than Sessegnon was, and then when Emerson was bringing out a lot more, I thought, going forward than Sessegnon, you really started to ask question marks of kind of Sessegnon's future, because this is also the case too, Dave. Sessegnon's been here longer than Emerson, and Sessegnon actually cost more than Emerson as well on top of that. So you have to, maybe the homegrown quota, of course, gets tossed into it, where yes, he is English, and that is probably why he maybe cost maybe that bit more, but still just have to look at it maybe a bit more ruthlessly with Sessegnon. We can't persist with something that we just know I don't think will be good enough, and something we know is not good enough from what we've seen thus far this season. And also as well, he's been here a long time, and so I'd rather give that chance to someone else in these remainder games of the season, who we know is hungry and who we know is also going to be maybe a bit of a mystery, could end up actually causing some teams some troubles, might actually also have some maybe struggles of his own, but also could be just a new cat in the Premier League that all of a sudden just actually has a bit of that hunger and that spark. We know Pedro Porro, like we said earlier, is hungry to do things and is hungry to impress fans. And I just don't know if that's the case anymore with Sessegnon. We know that's, like you said, not really the case with Perisic either, because he kind of wants out of here. So give it to a Charlie Sawyers, give it to anybody, give it to a Mundel, give it to anybody that is willing to play the position with their heart's content, to try to impress us, and also as well to try to maybe get his own spot in the team. But like you said, Dave, that's all well and good in saying that, but these kids are never given the chance, despite how many times we watch players like Sessegnon etc., just unimpress us against very easy opposition at times. And this is where I see where those coaches, or sorry, not those coaches, those parents of those players are coming from, Dave. That's where I see where they're coming from. When they watch Sessegnon unable to do it against a League One defender, they're probably like, geez, why? No wonder my kid can't get a chance. Like, it's just stubborn at the club. Stubborn.
But like, you had it with Lavinia over the other side, if anyone remembers him, you know. We were watching Orion and Doherty make a colossal fuck-ups week in, week out. And if you're Lavinia scratching your head, you're like, give me an opportunity. I think, look, me, and I don't speak for the Spurs fan base, but I think many people are probably with me on this. We just want to see people out there that want that relish the opportunity, that are hungry for the opportunity, that want it, rather than someone that's rolled out there and they're scared, they're nervous to make a mistake, you know, this, that, and the other. And that, like, you know, it has to flip that culture. But also, just quickly, Jack, you mentioned the homegrown. This is an issue we have this summer. Some of the players that we're keeping around and we know are not good enough for Tottenham, the reason why they're here is because they're English and they help us with the homegrown quota. And in order to fix that and move on, now you can't go out and just replace them all by buying them, because there is such thing as the English tax exists, because the selling club knows, okay, what's the homegrown quota like? We'll add another 15 million onto this because we know it has to happen, right? So we're not going to be able to spend all summer doing that, but we know it's an issue we need to fix. So why not start giving some of these youngsters a chance? You know, even if it means bringing them off the bench for 10, 15 minutes, throwing them out there, giving them a chance, and reduce the amount you need to bring in here and say, okay, he's impressed me, he's young, hungry, he's done good, we'll work with him, we'll develop him, and, you know, we can sell Sessegnon, there's his replacement in someone like Charlie Sawyers. That would be ideal. That's the whole purpose of having an academy, right, is so to spend as little as possible so that these players come through and they can get in. There's hopefully good enough to get into the first team. So why not start utilizing it rather than persisting with what we already know hasn't worked?
The whole point of the academy
and hasn't worked under multiple managers.
The whole point of the academy is for them to come in, I think, in these kind of moments of sort of despair, desperation, where, like you said, all really fans want is just to see people just giving their all for the badge, giving their all for the club, and seeing players who actually care. And when you're at that sort of bare minimum sort of level of expectation, it's a great opportunity to see the kids come in. It's a great opportunity to see one of them given that chance. And Spurs have failed on multiple opportunities to do that. And I feel bad for them. And I see where the parents are coming from, like you said, Dave,
here's the thing, Jack, right? We've a culture over the last few years of, okay, maybe you're not always losing the best, but along with it, you are. Dennis Serkin left the club and said, no, I'll take a step down to Sunderland because I believe I'll get back to the Premier League with my ability. Lavinia left the club. Marcus Edwards famously left the club back to his ability. Same as Noni Madueke. Look what Chelsea brought him for. There was another guy, I think, is his name Lewis Binks? I think he left and went out to Italy, you know, and stuff like that. So it is happening. And in order to stop that happening, we've got to offer a pathway or opportunities for these guys to impress. And all it needs to be is, for instance, instead of playing players who are not good enough in the Premier League or good enough when they step in when we've got injuries or suspensions and we keep moaning about them, then rolling them out in cup games and then expecting us to win when we know what they're already like. You know, that's a prime opportunity to give one or two of these youngsters an opportunity, or someone that you believe is good enough. Bring them in, get them in on the pitch, get them involved in it, and let's see what they can do, rather than persist with 11 internationals who most of the time don't want to be here and just give us crap, you know. So in order to stop these guys leaving and backing themselves, and so far it looks like a lot of them have been right, you've got to start forging a pathway and giving these guys opportunities somehow. And maybe this is the time or ways you can start doing this.
I'm with you 1,000% there, everybody. And honestly, let's just hope maybe that we do get to see a chance for some of these youngsters. And I know there's some good ones coming through, and obviously there's some struggles that we're having in the youth department as well. I'm not saying like it's the best youth department in the league or anything, but I mean, it's unbelievable that there's just hasn't been given as many opportunities as there should be, considering the draws that we occasionally, if not often, watch with our own team.
But especially over the last 3 years, right, Jack? We've seen more coming through under Pochettino when we were challenging than what we have over the last few years. And you'd think over the last few years, the way we're performing, you probably should see more than what you did on the Pochettino coming through, right?
I completely